Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa ahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Brothers and sisters, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this session, second of our series, short talks on soul talk. The purpose of these talks is to deepen our understanding of the experiential dimension of Islam. We will go step by step and cover a few topics, and the purpose is for each one, including myself, to enable us to practice Islam at the deepest level possible, inshallah, given our limitations, our nature, our weaknesses. In the first talk, we took the Hadith Jibreel, in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is asked to define the three terms: Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. And I mentioned that this is referring to the three dimensions of Islam. We can live Islam at the very, very outer level, very, very superficial level, performing those acts of worship. Yes, many people do that, although they may not internalize. They don't have that deeper faith, and they are not practicing it rightly, observing the form and spirit. But when we do go to the next level of internalizing the articles of faith, awareness of the matters of ghaib, the hidden realities, the faith in Allah, the faith in hereafter, the faith in angels, faith in the reckoning and standing before Allah for judgment, and also overall concept of sovereignty of Allah over our life and our willingness to surrender and submit to His will. When we internalize these articles of faith, we move to the next level of ihsan, which is living the faith at the deepest level possible. The level of awareness, mindfulness, experience. So human being lives at the three levels. Of course, there can be many other levels. I am just simplifying it. The level of instincts, the physical limbs, and then our experience, heart within. We have a mind. Of course, many people live Islam at the physical level and mental level. But some go beyond that to live Islam at the deeper level of spirituality. They are the ones who taste the sweetness of faith. They are the ones who have that developed a certainty and conviction, deep conviction, as if the ghaib is the reality. The heaven and hell is the reality for them. Allah, the mindfulness of Allah is very real. They are always awake. They are conscious. So this is what ihsan is all about. And of course, it takes a lot of practice for us to enter this door. And the first door to ihsan is the niyyah, rectification of niyyah, intention. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَىٰ. Every actions that we perform, of course, we are in this world performers. We are actors on the theater of life. And Islam wants us to act. قُلْ اعْمَلُوا. Do works. Let Allah and His Messenger see, observe your actions. But actions in themselves is not worthy in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, on that day, وَقَدِمْنَا إِلَى مَا عَمِلُوا مِنْ عَمَلٍ فَجَعَلْنَاهُ هَبَاءً مَنْثُورًا. We came upon their mighty achievements, the achievements of the civilization, human civilization, the technological progress, advancement, the monuments that they have created. We came upon them and turned them into ashes, symbol dust. Allah did not attach any value to it. Why? Because actions are judged, reckoned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on the intention. Human being, insofar as they act, they do so to bring pleasure for themselves or to avoid pain. We are goal-seeking mechanisms. We act, but the ultimate purpose, Islam allows us to achieve pleasure and joy in life, and also to avoid pain. That's acceptable as human being. But our ultimate goal should be, for all of the good deeds that we perform, what's our purpose? What's our motivation? What are we seeking? It should be the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, innamal a'malu binniyat, Allah judges our actions based on the intention that we have. Every person is rewarded according to his intention. He gets what he aims for in life. That's why Allah said, those who strive for this world, we will give them success here. But they have nothing to look forward in the next world. But those who live for this world as well as for success here and the success in the next world, they are the ones who will be the real successful people. So, what is this niyyah that Islam? The concept of niyyah is to train us to control our thoughts. If you control your thought and focus it on what is good, and motivation is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the ultimate goal of all of our actions and everything that we do in life, good works, then we gain that pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our life is presentable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in order to do that, let us analyze the word niyyah itself. The word niyyah in Arabic is defined as azimatul qalb, firm determination of the heart and the mind. So you resolve to do a certain deed, and if that intention is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because our life we are created to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So everything that we do, the good works, especially starting out with the acts of worship. In Islam, our prayer, our fast and zakah and charity is not acceptable unless the intention is, the niyyah is there, the right in niyyah, that we do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to gain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we stand up for salah, we must ask, why am I? So what happens here, every time you examine yourself in this way, that good deed that you perform, that act of worship that we perform, instead of becoming a purely mechanical act, a chore, it becomes an experience. Our life is turned into a life, examined life. So we dispel that heedlessness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the disbelievers, those who reject faith and the belief in akhirah, as heedless. They are living at the level of animality. They are not living that experienced life, examined life. So in order to do that, let me analyze the word thought. In Islam, as Imam Ghazali tells us, we can look at thoughts at three levels. One is khawatir, the chatter, mental chatter. While you are listening to me, already you have been to the shopping mall. You have, bombarded with this self-talk. You have no control over it. But when you dwell on one of those thoughts you are bombarded with and nurture that baby thought, it becomes a hum, an obsession to dwell on. We are not accountable for the first one or the second one unless we take it to the next level, which is dwelling on it and then resolving to do something about it, formulating that intention. So of course, This is what Islam wants us, that yes, thoughts and the hum is, unless you pursue it further to resolve, to formulate that intention to do something about it and determined to do it, and you are thinking, contemplating how to take the next step. So, of course, this is the origin of an original, meaning of the niyyah. But when it comes to acts of worship, it means that every act that we perform, we need to ask ourselves the question: am I doing this because people are watching me? Or am I doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I must, I'm accountable for the love of Allah. I am conscious of my Lord and I want to worship Him. I want to obey Him, and this is what He has ordered me to do. So I do it for His pleasure. So when we develop this habit of nurturing this niyyah in ibadat and take it to all of the things, permissible things that we are performing in this world, our whole life becomes a grand act of worship, because everything we do, the stamp of the pleasure of Allah is on it. And once we are in deathbed, inshallah, we will have a pleasurable death. We will lie, surrender our soul with that joy. And the glad tidings will come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that your life has been, look at the final moments of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life. Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu reports that the last time, the final day, the Prophet removed that curtain from his apartment door, window, and he said, "This is the last time I will see So when we have rectified the niyyah in all of our pursuits in life, and our goal is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way we lived our life, when we are in deathbed, the glad tidings will come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ربنا الله ثم استقاموا. Those who say our Lord is Allah and then continue to remain steadfast on that, angels will descend upon them. A life that is lived, an examined life, how that person will look forward to his performance in this world. The best example is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have the report from his companion Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu that the last day of Prophet's life in this world, he removed that curtain from the window of his apartment and he saw the companions lined up, shoulder to shoulder, and his face was beaming with joy. And Anas radiallahu anhu said, I never saw such a beautiful face. It was, I cannot take from that picture of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why? Because he's dying. A man who has completed his mission, he lived his life to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he has that complete faith that Allah has accepted all of his pursuits and his life has not been in vain. How many of us will have that pleasure? We must ask ourselves, because what are you seeking through all of this pursuit? Every day you wake up and you go through this endeavor, struggle in life. And what is that fire? What is that motivation? What is that purpose that you are seeking? Human being is a purpose-seeking mechanism. Yes, we pursue goals in life, but the ultimate goal should be to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will finish this by narrating another beautiful story. One of our great scholars, Al-Mawardi, the Imam Mawardi, who was a judge, a mufassir, a faqih, and of course author of many books on politics, governance, as well as tafsir and fiqh. It's a great author. You know what he did? He concealed many of his works. He did not publish them. When he is in deathbed, he told one of his students, I am in the throes of death. Please hold my right hand. If I grasp it tightly at the last moment, that means my works are not acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because my intention has been tainted. So destroy my books. But if I release your hand in the last moment, that's a sign for you to know that they have been acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you publish them. Imam Bukhari rahmahullah, who starts his work with this hadith, innamal a'malu binniyat, and he's saying it should be the first chapter in every book a person writes, in order to rectify the niyyah of that work. Why did he write it? And he said, I am so satisfied that I did it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I would be pleased to present it as a gift, as a labor of love, sign of labor of love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to rectify our intentions, ask question before embarking on any action, salah, zakah, or whatever, and any good deed that we perform. Of course, we should rectify that niyyah, and the niyyah should be to gain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once that is the ultimate goal, intention, Other intentions are okay. We need, we can have that success in this world, but our ultimate goal should be to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to start the journey on the path of ihsan by learning to rectify the intention, asking questions, so that we try to live Islam at the deepest level, the experiential level, and developing that awareness and mindfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.